So, Claire, what I found out this morning was that my maternal grandfather, James, was married to a lady called Mabel. And I had no idea that him and Mabel had children because my mother certainly never talked about it.
OK. So if you look at this, this is the electoral register from 1918.
OK?
If you look under Washington Street there on the right, look at the first house down.
There he is. James Arthur Edwards. And he's there with Mabel. And who's Frederick Ernest Nash, who's living there as well? A lodger?
Yeah. So it's a household of 3 adults in 1918.
So what does that mean? The A before that number?
The A denotes absent.
Absent?
Yeah. So James is not there at the time that this register was taken because he's in the army.
Right.
And the next thing that I want you to look at is a birth certificate.
OK. The father's name and surname is Frederick Ernest Nash, and the mother is Mabel Edwards. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Mabel had a child with Frederick, who was the lodger.
Yeah.
And this is dated the 22nd of April, 1921. That's a couple of years before my mother was born. So, hang on a minute, there's 1,000,001 things going through my mind here. James, my grandfather, must have known about this.
He will have known about it at this point because they're living in the home. If you look at the address, they're in 34 Washington Street. So,
yeah, 34, yeah.
Mabel is still living there, but with the lodger and with their newly born child.
All right. Well, yes, let's not forget there was a war, and war must make people have some sense of, I would think, abandonment. You know, you don't know if you're going to live the night.
Yeah.
You seize a moment of romance, passion. You seize it because your husband might never come back. You might die tomorrow.
Yeah, the First World War is one of those moments of dislocation. You know, people are moving all over the place. Some men are not coming back. It's a moment where relationships change, family relationships change, and people's sense of perhaps what they want from relationships changes as well.
Right, right.
So Mabel and Frederick are a couple.
Yes.
With a son.
Right.
But then, of course, you know that your grandparents, James and Harriet, are also a couple when your mother was born in 1923.
Yes.
So 2 couples, neither of the couples are married.
No.
You've got this quite complicated situation. Part of the problem in this period is that divorce is really quite hard to come by for working class people because it costs money.
Right.
So these couples who are cohabiting without getting divorced, without being able to marry each other, whilst it's not a norm, it's certainly not that unusual.
So they would do that because that's the only thing you could make of that situation.
In 1923, the year Lesley's mum was born, the law changed to allow women to apply for a divorce on the same grounds as men. But for working-class people like Lesley's grandparents, divorce was still beyond their means. It was an expensive process that could cost tens of thousands of pounds in today's money.
We're now moving to the next sort of trace of your grandparents. So this was a survey that was done in 1939, just in the early months of the Second World War, to find out where everybody was for organising ration books.
Oh, I see, yeah. So living at 5 Clyde Road is James A. Edwards and Harriet. Here they are together. Personal occupation, he's a railway works labourer, and Harriet's doing unpaid domestic duties. Does that mean housewife?
It does. Yeah. So they've both got the same surname here.
Oh, my goodness, I missed that.
So one of the things that people who are living together but not married sometimes did, particularly when they were...
It's the Mr. and Mrs. Smith
It
syndrome.
is, it is. But this taking of the
Yes.
shared name is something that, especially during the Second World War, people were kind of doing more and more. So James and Harriet see themselves and portray themselves
As a couple.
as Mr. and Mrs. Edwards.
Wow. Okay.
The